A very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to the third day of our one-week virtual FDP on emerging research trends in computing technology. May I now request Dr. D. Usha, Associate Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Dr. MGR Educational and Research Institute, to take over the session and also to introduce today's speaker. Please, ma'am.
Thank you, Revati ma'am. Very good afternoon to all. It's my privilege to introduce today's chief guest, today's speaker, Dr.R.Anto Arockia Rosline. Ma'am is working as an assistant professor in the Department of Computing Technologies, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Kattankulathur campus, and she has got 18 years of experience in teaching and research. She received a PhD in computer science from VIT University. Her areas of research are data analytics, data science, and machine learning and text analytics. She has guided a number of UG and PG projects. She has presented papers in various international conferences and published a number of papers in referred international journals. She has delivered invited talks in various forums. She is a member of Computer Society of India. She has received the Active Participation Women Award. She has also received 3 Best Paper Awards for the oral presentation in various conferences. She has received grants for the oral presentation in international conference also. So we are very happy to invite you, ma'am. You can take over the session. Please, ma'am.
Thanks for the introduction. Good afternoon, all. Let me share my screen first. Good afternoon. Today's session is going to be on design thinking. So we'll have a basic idea on design thinking, and we will be looking at the various phases in that, and also some kind of inventions and ideas implemented using design thinking. Okay, design thinking, it's basically a tool. So using this tool, we can go for some kind of a creativity or innovation, and it helps us to, create big idea and a lot of solutions as well. So what is the key? So the basic thing is we'll have to, look at the empathy with the users. So as far as any project that we look into, that empathy part, we will not consider at all. It actually goes with the tools, techniques, and everything. But the main key with the design thinking is the empathy. We have to empathize, with the users, and then understand their requirements, and based on which it helps us to, go with some innovative solution. Okay. So this, slide which clearly gives you an idea of what is design thinking, which helps you to go for some kind of a creative problem solving. So some days ago, like years ago, I can say. So this is a picture which tells you a truck. It has been locked under the bridge and it could not move. So from various fields, experts, they started discussing like whether we can remove some parts of the bridge, or we can, break some parts of the truck. So this is what their perspective was, and their discussion was all about. The thing is, all of a sudden one kid came around and he was just telling, why can't you remove the air on the tires? So that was, enough in order to, without any damage to the bridge and the truck, it helped to take away the truck, move the truck. So this is a very simple approach that gives you, a creative problem solving. Okay, with this idea, let us move on. And one more such example is like, MRI for children. It's a very tedious task wherein like we know, how the kids are behaving, like they'll cry, move around. It's a very tedious task in order to go for an MRI. So why can't we give a solution? Why can't we go for a kid-friendly MRI? So it's more like an adventure for the kids. So these are all simple way to go for an innovative solution. So basic thing when you go for a comparison with the traditional thinking and the design thinking is, the design thinking we usually learn from the failures. We focus on the human values. We iterate until we reach the point, we get the innovative solution. So whereas it varies a lot as far as the traditional thinking is concerned, wherein the traditional thinking, we just focus on the solution. We try to, deliver at the proper time. We only deal with the ideas. We will not consider the human values. So basically the key principles and the mindset, if you look into the design thinking, is it's human centered and it's a collaborative teamwork. You can also involve members from the various expertise domains, and we learn by doing. So we have to experiment. You find out some patterns or relationships, and then you go for the visualization. You prove the result. So these are all the key principles. So design thinking, when we say, it actually goes with some pillars like, the empathy. So you empathize the customers, and collaboration. So bring in the various members from the different domain expertise, and you have to include the various ideas, and based on which you will be repeating, you will be iterating. So you could see, they are developing a prototype, and then they showcase that to the customer until they are satisfied. They go on iterate that. So this is about design thing. So with this intro, I just want want you to describe the design thinking in one word. So let me just try to get that. Just a minute. Can you see my screen now? Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen? Oh. Okay.
Now it's visible, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So I want you all to go to this menti.com and one minute. Yeah, go to menti.com and use this code. And I want you to describe design thinking in one word. I want everyone to participate. menti.com, and please use the code 79904178. It's creativity. It's good. Innovative. Creative. Yes. Any other answers? Yeah, of course, creativity and innovative solution comes in. So only 8 of you have responded. I want everyone to participate. iterative process done. Artwork, illustration, design. It's a problem solving approach. Okay. Now that's great that, it's great to know that you have got that picture, you have got an understanding of it. Okay, so let me stop this now and I'll share my presentation again. Right. Yes, so design thinking basically we go for empathize with the people needs. We have to collaborate. So the need for the collaboration across the discipline is like, for example, if I belong to information technology, and sometimes I could even get a optimal, best, innovative solution from a person who is in any other department, maybe from mechanical or maybe from triple E. So there is a possible solution existing across the discipline as well. So based on these skill sets and perspectives, you can collaborate and include every idea and repeat, iterate, and then test the solution. And only if it is actually satisfying the human, the customer, you have done a very good job. Okay, so the design thinking attitude, which actually starts with like a lot of uncertainty. We have to do the research, understand, design a prototype, and then go for implementing it. So with a better clarity and the focus. So this is how you will be, developing the work. So design thinking, it uses both the sides of the brain to solve problems. So wherein, the traditional approach will not involve your right brain, which handles intuition and emotion. So whereas in design thinking, along with the logic, implementation, coding, it is mandatory for us to include this intuition and emotion. As far as the design thinking phases are concerned, these are all the 5 phases of design thinking. So first thing, I have to understand who is my audience, who are my customers, so what they actually want. And I have to empathize. So this empathizing the customers will help me understanding what the exact problem is, based on which I'll go for the definition of it. And then from that, I'll move on to this ideate. So this ideate is a phrase which comes up with some ideas and solutions. So the actual creativity lies here. And then I go to prototype. So I'll be designing a prototype in this phase. And if I feel like, this prototype is not meeting with the requirements of the audience, I go back to the ideate phase again. And once if it is fine, everything is okay, from the prototype I go to test. So what happens in the test? Yeah, you test your ideas, gain the user feedback. So even from the test phase, you will move on to the ideate phase. Sometimes you will create new ideas for the project. And also from the test phase, you will also move on to the define phase. So sometimes the tests will tell you, even the problem statements itself is wrong. You have to redefine it. So basically, you will be, moving from one phase to the other phase. Like as shown here, it's an iterative approach. You will repeat, and everything is done 100% correctly. So these are the phases: emphasize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. So there is, you will move on to the previous phase. If it's not fine until it is okay, you will be repeating. So as far as an experiment, along with the, path where you do the experiment, which involves the ideation phase, prototyping, and then the experience design. So we are going to, look into it. So the ideation, what are all the techniques by which you can create some ideas, and how to develop the prototype, and how will you know that, the prototype that you have developed is fine. and everything is okay, you will go for the final implementation. Okay, what is the purpose of this? So we'll have to, get lot of ideas and deeply understand the user. What are the requirements of your customer? Moreover, your ideas should be visible. It should be, tangible. So it should be easy enough to build the prototypes, and you will have to visualize your experience. So the user experience. So what, the ideation does. So how basically your ideation, will help. So like you will ask the right questions and innovate. And look at the strength of your team member, so their expertise. And find out what are all the areas where you could, find the innovation. And as far as the ideation phase is concerned, you will have to create, a lot of ideas, volume and variety in your innovation options. Okay, so let us get into the ideation techniques. So some of the techniques we will discuss, and what are the possible ways by which we can go through this ideation phase. The first thing is round robin. So in this technique, what we do is like we'll have to deal with some kind of HMW statements, which we, say it's a how might we, in short, we say it's HMW statements. So basically, any problem you want to understand, that you will have to define and write down clear HMW statements. Like, so if you are in the process of, developing a water bottle, basically, for example, let us assume, you will have to frame some statements like how might we, take the bottle, how might we open it, how might we, drink it, how might we do all these things. So basically start writing down all such HMW statements. So it's a round robin fashion. So like you will have to write down the possible, statements and pass it to the person who is sitting to your left. And for the solution that you have written, tell them to write down a list of reasons. Like, okay, so they will have to write down a list of reasons stating that why that particular solution is going to fail. And it goes on. So in this way, in a round robin fashion, for the solution that you have given, all the reasons that it would go wrong would be written by, would be stated by all the other persons who are in the left. So in a round robin fashion, it reach you also. They will have to write down, how to resolve that. So in this way, for a particular HMW statement, and you are framing a solution, you will also try to, understand of why it goes wrong. If it goes wrong, how you put it. So you will repeat until, like for different challenges, you are able to get it. This is one technique that we can do. The second one is opposite thinking. As the name implies, right? For any solution we propose, go for an opposite thinking. So like when we design a chair, so basically when we design a chair, it's a default thing, like it should have legs and it should have arm. Yeah, so why can't we go for an opposite thinking, use opposite thinking technique and analyze why a chair should have legs? So without legs, why can't we have a chair? So this is, the opposite thing. So how can we, provide a solution for that? Let the chairs be, hanging from the ceiling. So this is for example, assumption I'm telling for. Let us take, for assumption, you design a chair. Number of opposite thinking could happen. This is one example, like why it should have legs. Without legs, why can't you hang that from the ceiling? So basically, like this we usually used to have in our day-to-day life, right? So when we propose some idea, right, in our friend circle, we used to get a lot of opposite thinking things also. Some kind of solutions for that also we will be getting. So the best thing is go for a brainstorming session and you can create more and more creative ideas for this. So this is one such standard template of using this opposite thinking technique. So in one, here you will be writing the assumptions you have about a particular concept or a domain. And in the second column, you will be describing the opposite of the assumption that you have done in the first place. And the third one is you will have to describe so which service or how the improvement could happen. Right? So in the example that we have taken, we can write lights about the chair, and number 2, why the chair should have legs, and number 3, so without legs, if you want to design a chair, it should hang from the ceiling. This is a solution for that. Okay, so this is the template that we use. As far as ideation technique, one of the ideation technique is this we can use. You can see lots of lot of post-its are there specifying your assumptions, opposite, and solution. So as a brainstorming session, when you will get lot of creative ideas. And the third one is rip and wrap technique. So it's a very simple and easy technique too. So like we'll prepare a collage. So it's very similar to that. And for the HMW statements, how might be statements that we have framed for any problems, we have to get the collage, prepare it. So we can use the Pinterest, or else the old type, we can also collect it from the magazines. So divide the participants, like in a team of say 3 people in a team. Give them some time, maybe 30 minutes would be okay. So after the time, let them present their mood board. So what they have created using the collage. Then you could note down the ideas. So this is how the rip and wrap technique would work. And the fourth one is tech and trend matrix. So when I say tech and trend matrix, it's something related to the technologies and trends. So this matrix will help you to identify for the HMW statement that you have framed, what are all the trends and technologies that have been adopted in any of the industries, in existing industries? Are they using any kind of technologies? So basically, you will introduce the team with the technologies and the trends. So sometimes, that will trigger some innovative ideas. The template goes like this. So as you could see, row-wise, you can see a lot of HMW statements, and in the column-wise, you can see the trends and technologies. So for a particular HMW statement, you'll have a lot of technologies could match, and you could also say how far it is matching and what exactly you're going to implement it. So this helps you to identify that. And the fifth one is deconstruct and reconstruct. That's the figure. It clearly shows you, like you take an object, so you will have to deconstruct that and then reconstruct it and bring a new object. So basically, you will pick up a brand or a product or any service. You will have to break it down into some important parts, some elements or components, or if in case if it is a service, you can say, what is the strength of that particular service. Later, you will reconstruct. So how you will reconstruct? Maybe, you can actually differentiate. You can change some of the parts. You can have the core components. You can make some changes with some main elements, some key parts. So how it is done? The first thing, you have to identify some 5 different products or brands or companies, and give it to 5 different teams. So let them, a minimal of say some essential elements of the given brand or a product or a company. So let them list it out. Out of which the team should discuss and pick out some 5 essential elements. And you can also tell them to bring in some imaginary new products. So what we are doing, we are giving the brand to them and we are telling them to list out the essential elements, and we are telling them to select some 5 essential elements. And from the 5 essential elements, using that, we are asking them to create a new product. So definitely, we can derive lot and lot of innovative ideas we are doing in this way. So many ideas we can get. And also, if they have the exact picture in their mind, we can also tell them to give a rough sketch of what they have got. So one example is this. So on the left, you can see, it's a different picture. So after deconstruct and reconstruct, you could see a different picture on the right. So it's more of a transformation, like, to a bin kind of a thing. But you could see the handle and then the wheel, the base, like some essential elements they have chosen, but they have modified that. They have reconstructed it. And scamper technique. The 6th one is going to be the scamper technique. So wherein here in scamper technique, that SCAMPR stands for the different things that you are going to, make changes with that. Like whether you are going to substitute some parts, components, are you going to combine something, are you going to adapt, are you going to modify something, or are you going to put this to, some other use, are you going to eliminate that, or you're going to reverse that. So this scamper technique, you will take a existing product or some service, you will frame the listed, get a list of questions, and considering these 7 elements, substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put, eliminate, reverse, you will ask, like lot of questions considering these 7 elements and apply the questions. And you will be getting a lot of ideation techniques. So basically, we'll come up with a lot of answers. For example, these 7 components you take, like, for example, McDonald's and KFC, they have taken the last 3 components. For example, like put to another use. So McDonald's is also, in addition to their sales, they also, do the sales, do some other business, like, and eliminate. So eliminate in the sense like, actually they are, they're not having the waiters, like, so it's a self-service is what we have to do. So the traditional method, they removed that, and that was a technique for improving their business. And also reverse. So usually, in days together, so many years we are in a practice, like after having, the dinner we usually pay, right? But whereas here in KFC, McDonald's, you have to pay first, and then you can have your food. So by means of eliminating, say, 1 or 2 techniques, so certain companies, certain services, so they have improved their business definitely. As far as substitute is concerned, so we have to check what I am going to substitute or who I am going to substitute. So main thing is who, what, where, which part of it, or am I going to substitute any kind of a material base? And when I say combine, yes, you can combine some ideas, you can combine functionalities and objects. Adapt in the sense, what I should change that, what I should copy. Then modify. Modify basically, if you consider like color, sound, taste and all, for example, these attributes, let us take, am I going to increase the color, I'm going to decrease it. So am I going to change the taste to put to other use? So what would happen if I change the context or the purpose? So usually we know, yeah, the pen is one, which we use it for writing. Why can't I use the same pen for cutting an object? Why can't I use it as a knife? So it's a different bit idea, right? So eliminate, when I said, what should I remove? What can I take away? The reverse and rearrange. What would happen if I turn it upside down? What would happen if I rearrange some parts, some functions and all? So this is the worksheet. So basically, if you are going to use this Kappa technique, have a worksheet like this, so that for any service or any kind of an object or any product, you have to fill this worksheet. So that definitely is going to give you an idea. It will create lot of ideas. So even if, as I said, McDonald's and KFC, they just use the last 3 points, P, E, and R. So you can even use, it's not necessary that you have to include all 7, not necessary. So whichever matches with that, you can use that, and then definitely you could do some, have some innovative solution. So this is how, it's a sample of how the technique is being used upon discussion. So for each and everything, you could see, whichever using post-its, you can specify what are the things I'm going to change, what are the things I'm going to increase or decrease, everything. You could see here, for the discussion, they haven't included that E and R. So as I said, it's not required that all 7 should get satisfied. So this is one example. So I just want to invent a new type of pen. Using this camper technique, you can check, what are the ways in which you can invent a new type. For example, substitute. So why can't I substitute the tip with a knife? Combine. Yes, combining the usage along with writing, I can use it for cutting as well. Adapt. So what else I could adapt? Why can't I use the pen top as a container or something? Then modify. So let the body of the pen be flexible enough. Why it has to be rigid always? So we could find, nowadays we get a kind of a pen with some flexible thing as well. Put to other use. Why should the pen be used to write only on the paper? Why can't it write on wood? Yeah, that's a different point as well. Eliminate. So instead of the clip, why can't I eliminate that and use something else? Then rearrange. So the nib, what would happen if it is folding outwards? Yes, so this is what I was talking to you like. So they, McDonald's, when I say they use the last 3, as I said, they are selling restaurants, real estate also in addition to their business. Then eliminate. So they are letting the customers serve themselves. They are avoiding the use of expensive waiters, and rearrange. The customers pay before they eat. These are all the ideation tools we have seen, and the next one is analogous inspiration. This is also a kind of ideation technique. But this ideation technique, you can get a lot of ideas from various organizations and industries. So you will get, different perspectives. You can get new creative ideas. So the main thing is you have to look towards the nature. So look at an industry which is completely unrelated to yours, and find out the people from whom you can get the idea, do the brainstorming, and create an analogous inspiration. So this is one such, example. So a model. So looking at the ship, there was a spark. Why can't we have a building of that particular shape. So that's really, a good ideation technique. It's a very different, by looking at the nature, it's completely, not related to what we are thinking about. So we are able to get some innovative idea based on this. Okay. So now I want you to, specify the ideation technique you like the most. Before that, let me show you the ideation techniques. So these are the 7 ideation techniques. I hope you could see now. Yeah. So I'm waiting for your responses. Out of the 7 technique which you like the most, could you please give the response? Camper and analogy. Others also to give you response. Round robin. That's all. Okay. Go back to the presentation now. Okay. Yeah. The ideation tips. If you want, the ideation to get a proper innovative idea, you have to give equal opportunity to everyone. And moreover, they have to list down what are all the constraints. And this is very much important. Co-design. Use multidisciplinary. And when you are converging, look at the pros and cons of your ideas. And always go for visual means to present your idea. So as far as the idea generation part is concerned, you'll have to look at the one which actually is not addressed and frame the HMW questions. So based on that only you are going to get the proper solution. So frame HMW questions and brainstorm for a range of different ideas. You have to do the brainstorm session, and after brainstorming, you will have to cluster, group, and then identify the themes for each and everything. So sometimes, like, the question is, you are asking, how could improve the students' learning experience. So based on the brainstorming session and the ideas taken, you group them, cluster them, and once it is done, select the idea which exactly gives you a proper solution, and after that, go for the concept development. So you'll have to narrow down the problem, and then concept development happens. So what is a concept basically? So it's related ideas together, we say it's a concept, and that actually it's addressing your customers' needs. So prototyping. So basically, the prototyping, we know it's an approach. So where you are making your idea and concept more tangible and visual. So the thing is, this is the way by which you could reach your customer. The customer has asked for something, you'll have to show them, correct, like what exactly you have developed, and ask them whether what you have done so far is correct. To check whether the developed one is correct or not, you have to meet the customers. So that helps us to empathize with the user. So in terms of like what they exactly want is correct or not, you have developed is correct or not. And the reason why we have to go for it is like you are minimizing the risk of failure. There is no meaning in, like going towards the end and then after finishing the complete manufacturing and then you are asking the customer, it's a great failure. See, for example, like you are in the process of developing a water bottle, what the customer has asked for you, like you just create a model at least in a paper or in a in any kind of a thing. You just make a prototype, show it to them and explain them, what are the ways by which they can use that, and in what are the ways by which it differs from the rest. So once you feel like you have impressed the customer and they are okay with what you have developed, then you can go for producing that as a large scale. Okay, user experience journey. So that includes the entire process, like how the product is discovered, what is the service, and what is the process that you will use to achieve the goal. So this user experience journey, like it will consist of the phase and stages, like what is the user insight, and then like have you met the user needs, and then include the interactions, their experience. So the complete path is what we call it as user experience journey. And this is what you can see, it's a framework, POEMS framework. So wherein for the project, you will have to list out the main groups of people, and you will have to list out the objects that are used by the people, specify the surroundings as well, and what are all the ways by which you can communicate, and what are all the services that you are offering. So this is one best example, like, yeah, it's a experience of a park visitor. You can see, so how far from this scale it is moving here. So when a visitor will be, like happy. So he wants to visit the park, and you could see, a lot of questions will be in their mind. So whether they will be handling their kids, or how they could spend time, how they could engage their kids. So it goes on, like it's a kind of a user experience wherein like using the tool, they are finding out like the route, and that is good. And also they are having a video on the exhibit, and also they are finding like, like there are facilities which are found nearby. So there is like a eatery they want to, they are suggesting it is found, and also there is an event which is going to happen which will start in 30 minutes. So they are getting the alert for the same show which is going to, get scheduled in 30 minutes. So they feel like they will not miss that. And also they have the freedom to express their views in the social network and how they feel like. So once everything is fine, like whatever they expected, everything is available, their experience in the park will be captured onto the journal to cherish that, and they feel like it's wonderful. Like, so basically this framework, will help you to go with an understanding of how the user experience journey is going to happen. Okay. Now coming to the prototyping. Yes, so prototyping is you are going to review the user experience journey. So what are all the key elements, and you will be testing them with the real users, and you will be getting the feedback as well. So when you are going to explain them, like the prototyping, basically it's very simple. There is no standard way that you have to do it in this way. You can even use a skit with your team. If you want to test a logo, you can print that and you can put it in your t-shirt, and then you can get to know what exactly the customers feel, the person feel, right? In that way also you can get the feedback. So there is a lot of ways by which you can go on improve your prototype and get the feedback. So these are some pictures which are explaining you like how you could go with the prototyping. So which you could explain. And this Nordstorm, it's applied design thinking. For example, they didn't like to develop something, and they didn't want to spend a lot of money using the standard traditional approach. So what they have done is they started building a paper version of the app. So it was helping them to get the feedback whenever a customer passes, like that paper version of the app in the store. They started collecting everything. So based on the feedback, they went on for iterations, number of time, and finally they showed the new prototype to the customer as a functioning app. So this was the functioning app they actually developed. For example, the customers wanted to compare the photos of themselves with different sunglasses, like as you could see. And also they wanted to have some zoom in option of their pictures. And also they wanted to tag each image and link that to the corresponding model number also. So all these kind of a thing they were collecting in the initial paper version of the app. Later they started, they went on a rigorous way of repeating the same in an iterative fashion, and finally they came up with an wonderful idea after applying design thinking. Okay, we have seen the experiment phase, wherein ideation, prototype, and then the user experience journey. Now we are going to see how you could engage them in the way of storytelling, in the way of co-creation. So very simple. It's like you are engaging them towards the path of developing the particular product. What is the purpose? Basically, you will ensure whether you have satisfied the users. And storytelling is basically, it's a way by which you could put your ideas, like, so the experiment phase we have seen, the user experience journey. So you're actually explaining that it will be like this. which includes the storyboard, prototypes, and the role play. So storyboard, a visual illustration of your idea. So maybe, for example, you are developing a product and you want to explain, how to use that. Maybe a very simple example, let me take your library management system. You want to explain it to them. Any kind of a product, any service, so have some pictures, step-by-step pictures you could have. So which acts like a storyboard, and then it will give you very clear illustration of your idea. Then prototypes, it's the way by which you can develop, test your idea at a very earlier stage. So there is no meaning in going for a large scale implementation. So before confirming your standard, whether it is correct or not. So develop the prototype, meet your customers, let them be happy, let them say okay, and then you can go for the actual large scale implementation. Then role play. So to act out the experience. So if you want to, have a better understanding, well, there are, ways by which you can also go for the role play. Storyboarding. It's effective communication, I can say. So this storyboard will include the persona, the statement, and you will illustrate, and also you are going to say the impact and the result. The purpose is basically, it's a graphical representation. So rather than going for giving a manual, a document which is, full of lines together, its graphical representation is far better, and then it communicates the idea more effectively to the users. And you can also create story narratives. This is one such, example which explains you the storyboarding. So you can see the way, the steps, so this is one way of explaining it. So as I said, the step-by-step way in which you can explain. This is a template. So generally, this is the template that we go for using the storyboarding. We will specify the user story or the scenario, the persona, and you could see the picture over here. And you can even draw, you can give a sketch, paste, and give a explanation over here as a written in 1 or 2 lines. And you could see the project team, the date, storyboard. So this also you could use. And co-creation. As the name co-creation implies, you are engaging the target users in your development process much earlier. So because you are traveling along with your customer, so by getting the user's feedback, suggestion, you are able to understand the user need, and you are improving, refining and improving the solution ideas. The purpose is the early feedback, and also you can have a lot of possibilities. You can improve your idea. So it helps you for the user acceptance, better user acceptance. So, but your user can't say that, they didn't have an experience of what you have developed. All of a sudden, one fine day, they can't say that they don't know anything about it. So that's easy when you go for this kind of a co-creation. So as what we have seen now, the co-creation with the target users can be done using storyboard. You can use role play, prototype, and all. So here, what we have seen so far is about the ideate phase. So very clearly we have seen, the ideate phase and a part of how to go for a prototyping. So this is how the design thinking flow goes. It starts with empathize, then you define the problem, then you go for this ideation phase, then we go for a prototype, and finally the test. And here, actually, the design team is going to, give you a number of inexpensive and then scale down versions of it. So these prototypes, you can test within the team, or you can give it to some other group of people outside your design team. So basically, like sometimes if it is in our team, you do the testing. When you share, we will not be able to find what exactly the more functionalities like you require. So for example, you are involved in developing a product. When we give the product to the layman will be able to list out what more is required. So that is what we are actually going to do here. So in the experimental phase, basically, we will be identifying the best possible solution. So prototype. So the solutions are implemented within the prototype. So as we have seen, we have to go for an investigation. We'll have to sometimes the product that you have developed, will be accepted by the customer. Sometimes it may require, some kind of an improvement or some kind of a re-examining. And worst case, it may also get rejected based on their experience. So they will say, that is not at all the product that they expected for. So sometimes it might get rejected also. So by the end of this stage, the team will have a better idea. So what they actually want. So they will have a clearer view of how the users would behave. So how, when they are interacting with the product, you can very well judge whether the product is fine. You have given your 100% of it, or it is 90%. You just want to make an improvement, or sometimes it's mere failure. So at an earlier stage, before the larger level scale of implementation, you are able to understand. So you are able to assess what you have developed is correct or not. Testing. Yeah, we have seen, like ideation. After the ideation phase, we go for the prototype, and then after the prototype, based on acceptance, rejection, everything, you go for the testing after improving that. Based on the prototyping also, you will be changing your problem statement, you will be changing your ideation technique, as we have seen here. Yeah. So based on the prototyping, sometimes you will be able to change the technique. You will be learning from the prototypes and new ideas you will be getting. And sometimes after getting the feedback, you will also redefine the problem finally. Sometimes the problem statement will not require any kind of a redefinition, but there should be some change with the ideas. So that is what we are actually going to do here. So this test is the final stage of the 5-stage iterative process design thinking model. And as far as this phase is concerned, even during this phase, there are some kind of an alterations or refinements will be required. Because, like it will require further deep understanding of the product as required by the user. So even at this stage, it will require some kind of alterations. So this is all about the phases of design thinking. So now I am going to show you some design thinking inventions. So as you could see, these are some design thinking inventions, and these are some, design thinking projects, as you could see. So this is a transport pooling similar to carpooling. This is a refrigerated handcart and some sustainable bridges. And with the available materials they have done, and here you could see some filters used for rural population. And these are some, this is a kind of an invention which happened during the COVID. So real life projects based on this innovative idea. So thank you. That's all with the presentation. And if you have any doubts, you can go for it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Participants, if you have any doubt, you can message in the chat box. Ma'am, some participants, they asked for PPT. If possible, can you share that PPT later, ma'am?
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Uh, may I now request Dr. Usha, Associate Professor, to deliver the vote of thanks. Please, ma'am.
Ma'am, thank you so much for your session, ma'am. Actually, you highlighted many points like key principles on mindsets, design thinking, 4 pillars of design thinking like round robin, opposite thinking, rip and wrap, tech and trend matrix, camper and all. It was really a very wonderful session. I hope the audience would get very most information from the session. So thank you so much, ma'am. Now I'd request the audience, you can wind up the session for today. We'll meet tomorrow, day 4 session of this virtual FDP on emerging research trends, computing technologies, sharp by 2 p.m. Okay. So kindly post your feedback, right? Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, participants.
Recording stopped.